What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to CanesCast. I'm Phil here with Garrett, and we are excited. 6 games in, 6-0. Hurricane football is doing about as well as we've done in the last 20-something years, right? I mean, as good of a start as we can ask for since 2017. So we're jazzed. We're pumped. Got a big one coming up. ACC play has definitely been, how do I say this? Unnerving. The last 2 games ended in crazy fashion. We didn't think that we could outdo Virginia Tech. We certainly did with Cal, and now we got the game that we all circled at the beginning of the season is arguably the toughest game on the schedule, playing at Louisville for the Howard Schnellenberger Trophy against a team that was just ranked, isn't ranked, but is going to treat us like their Super Bowl, like a lot of teams do, coming in number 6 ranked team in the country. It's a big game, big environment. We're psyched for it. Sold out game. Garrett, what are you pumped about? What are some thoughts for the game? But actually, before we do that, what are your thoughts on, any thoughts on the bye week or, other games or anything before we jump into our Canes?
Well, I mean, last week was, a bunch of good games to watch. It was, good and bad not being able to watch a game. You kind of sit on the sidelines with your team not playing, then you get a little antsy. You
But
kind of
also
want to
low
see,
stress, low stress with
you want to see action, but it is somewhat nice not to have to worry about a loss. But yeah, the offense is exciting. The defense has a lot of work to do, has a lot to prove. So that's just, you have to spend 2 weeks waiting for that after a thrilling win at Cal there. The bye week has been our Achilles heel to some degree. We don't seem to come out and play with great intensity right out of the gate, especially you would think having that rest would be beneficial, but generally Miami has not capitalized on that rest. So that's probably the biggest question is Mario Cristobal turning the tide. I've seen people say that the clock management this year has been A plus plus plus. I would quote a popular Miami podcaster in saying that. I don't know if I'd go that far. I really did think the Virginia Tech game was left me questioning why they didn't force Virginia Tech to take a couple of those timeouts with 2 minutes left and a guy that was capable of pushing the ball down the field. So I would say it's been more like a B. But this is the other big thing, question, and Mario Cristobal's coaching, especially here at Miami, is he going to get us ready? Are we going to be ready to fire out of the bye week and put a good performance together? We're 2-0 in ACC play. They've both been nail biters. Can we, the question is, can we finally put one out there and actually dominate offensively? I feel pretty good about it. I don't think Louisville's super great defensively, but their offense is actually pretty good. Ja'Cory Brooks, their leading receiver, with Tyler Shug, I think is how you say his name. They seem to have great chemistry. I think they're very dangerous. But the other guy, Isaac Brown, their true freshman, Ja'Cory Brooks and Isaac Brown are both from Florida, so that kind of taking on Florida's leading team is going to be important to them. I would imagine they're going to show out. Our lack of being physical and tackling running backs the last 2 weeks has been evident. So that is a huge concern. So is the defense ready to come with it this week is my biggest concern.
That's the biggest thing for me too. I don't necessarily care about what the final score is. I just want to win. Obviously, I want to get back to that Canes football we watched for the first, chunk of this season where we were rolling teams and winning big. The first time we got kind of tested was the first half of USF, and then we just destroyed them, right? And I maybe, that went to the head a little bit, and maybe, ultimately I think these games are crucial because these kinds of games happen for teams that you kind of feel, I'm not going to say a team of destiny, but teams learning how to win in these situations is huge, right? So knowing that you're never out of a game, the team has that belief now. They stormed back against Virginia Tech, a team that was talented. It is very talented, a team that a lot of people picked before the season, right there with Miami and Clemson and Florida State to win the ACC. They were one of the popular picks, a dark horse pick. We watched first game of the season up on that panel on game day in Ireland when Florida State played Georgia Tech. That I think it was Pat McAfee picked Virginia Tech. I mean, a lot of people were hot on them. So to come back against a team like that, then to go across the country and know that you can be down big against one of the top defenses in the country and come back and win that game. I mean, those are important lessons. But to
Well,
be honest with you,
and especially their secondary. I mean, that Williams kid has 6 interceptions in 6 weeks, right? He's the real deal. So
The
our
video
offense
numbers.
having the ability to come back for 25 and passing the ball on a great defense. Maybe I should have included that when you asked me that question. That was, I was rooting for Florida last weekend. I want Florida to look tough now that we've,
They did.
moved past them. I think they should have won that game.
They should have.
They should have gone for two. I think that coach is history. I don't think he's going to stick around. I think that was a big move. He really let them down and didn't take advantage of the momentum
We're too
to go
scared.
for two, because again they ended up missing a field goal in overtime and basically lost right there. So every team that we play, I'm rooting for. So last week it was Cal was taking on Pitt, pretty close game, 15-17 I think was the final score. So again, I find myself every time we move past an opponent, and in this case we've won all them. I'm kind of hoping those teams show that they are tough, that we are. The schedule doesn't say like the SEC. There's top 25 teams all over the board, but I think we're playing a couple of these good squads. So go ahead. Sorry.
Well, how much of that too for Cal losing that game is, the people don't want to make much of the mileage thing. Oh, you travel, you got to deal with it. It's just part of the game. It's part of the stuff. It is, but a 2,500 plus mile, you know, journey matters for the body clock and everything else. What are Pitt's losses right now, or Cal's losses right now? Florida State isn't good. They lost that game because they missed two field goals. But again, they're on the other side of the country. Same thing with Cal, or same thing when they played at Pitt. They played at Pitt. They played us tough. They were at home. We went across the country, played what was a 10:30 start on the East Coast, a game that got over at 2:30 in the morning on the East Coast. It's a body clock thing. That stuff matters. You wonder, we play them closer. Miami is the better team. Miami found a way to win that game. They have the best player in the country in Cam Ward, so that obviously plays a role. But those things matter, and they didn't get beat down in any of those losses. That Florida State loss for Cal's not good because Florida State's not good. But again, they missed two field goals in that game, and Pitt's ranked. Pitt hasn't lost a game in the ACC, and they lost that game by two. So that's a tight game. They could have won that game too. Cal should have probably won that game. Florida, I don't think, I'm a little different than you. Yes, Florida should have won that game, and Florida deserved to win that game. But I think Florida playing
Well,
it.
again, deserved and win. Maybe that's not exactly what I'm saying. I think they had a chance to win had their coach not been,
Yeah, but I think they
kind of
played.
spineless, made a bold move, because again, they score with 30 seconds left, where a game they were really not playing extremely well, but they were in a game that they shouldn't have been in, right, by the numbers and the rankings.
That's what I mean. If you play a team
So
like that, they're in a position where it's like, yeah, they should get rolled, and for them to go in there and play a game like that, where yeah, they missed a field goal. Florida had some mistakes happen, but it felt like when they finally got on the board, it was like they immediately let their foot off the gas defensively. Tennessee scored, and it just was back. And then we
yeah,
kind of got some offensive movement. But to play that well at Tennessee, a team that's very good, and do that, a team that's been so maligned and everything. Let's be real. Let's just chalk it up to this. Had they won that game, Napier might not get fired. They didn't. So the jury's
yeah,
still
I
out
would
because
say,
that's a
but
huge, huge, huge win. Number 8 team in the country playing there. It's a big rivalry with Tennessee and Florida. But I will say it was not a bad loss. They took the number 8 team to overtime, which in the whole scope of it makes that win a little more impressive for us, I think. Just because, yeah, it would have been even better if they won. Florida's not having a great season, but they still were competitive. They didn't go in there and get rolled like we rolled them when we went into their backyard. So it wasn't an embarrassing loss. I feel the same thing. Penn State should have lost to USC. There was a bunch of things in front of us. Miami very well should be top 5, should be a top 5 team right now. You've mentioned it. If Ohio State got rolled by Oregon, we would be past them. They didn't, so they kept them in front of us. Miami didn't move. I think we should have. I think we should have gone up. That's a different story, but we saw these teams playing tight, and the bottom line is parity is alive in college football, and that's great. There's going to be 12 teams that get in this playoff. We're still a ways away from that, but you can see we're one of 11 teams right now that's still undefeated. You don't see that very often. I feel like this back and forth. Now Texas is playing Georgia.
yeah, I
Georgia could
think
beat Texas.
Miami's
Texas is the only team that's looked really, really, really good the whole season through so far.
the,
Outside, I
the
mean, I think we do. Texas has
the
been dominant.
the thing is that Miami has had trouble with when we finally, here and there have a good season and we get in these positions where we're inside the top 10 and we're getting national conversation. Now, in this case, having, I would say, the leader in the Heisman race, we don't tend to stand and defend that hill very well. And so again, this is a big test coming in this weekend because Louisville had a brand new coach. a guy takes over a program and then ends up in the ACC championship game, something we've only been able to do once in 20 years with, yes, there was some mitigating factors there a couple years in between, but in essence, like a guy coming in and having success immediately in the ACC kind of puts a lot of pressure on Mario to this. You better have a good coaching game this year against Louisville, a tough opponent. Again, you've had rest. You got a good team. You've got
We played them
everything
tight
lined
last week.
up. You've got a lot lined up that if you let this one slip away, it's gonna be a bad deal. Again, I think this is a different type of a team with Cam Ward and his ability to take adversity and keep coming. I think we can sustain a loss and stop doing what we've done in the last 20 years, and that's just drop off a cliff. I think a loss can happen. Miami can rebound and still be tough and still get in the playoffs. I just don't want to see that happen. Again, there's not a team that for the next 6 games that we should lose to with the experts and all the nonsense, the stuff that doesn't really matter. What really matters is getting the guys up, being prepared, being ready for everyone's best shot. Because again, this is what we, as a brand, again, it's a good national brand. If we don't take everyone seriously, we're gonna slip up. I don't want to see that as a fan, but that's been the MO. I would love to see that we move past that because I think this is a good squad with the right pieces to challenge us pretty intensely. It's a 4-point spread. I think we win 4 points. If the field goal's reasonable, but again, I'll take a dub by one. I'll take a dub by one with the referee's help. I don't care. Just win the game.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. All these games, you're right. There's none of these games that we should lose. And all of these games will be favored by double digits, most likely after this game. I guess I don't know necessarily about the Duke game, but that's in Miami. So, depending on how we look this game or this weekend against Louisville is going to make a difference on how we're favored the rest of the season. But yeah, it's the Schellenberger Trophy. It's revenge for last year. Avenging that loss, and then so every game has its own little storyline, right? Like you said, I think that we can survive a loss. And sometimes, we're being honest, losses are good for teams to help them refocus. I like to think that this team, especially after the bye, has had enough playing with fire the last 2 weeks to realize, no, okay, we don't need that loss. We've learned those lessons in a win. And that's what's important. And let's move forward and let's get back to Hurricanes football and let's dominate these
So,
games.
so something I just heard again. This is something I didn't realize is that the top 3 teams in the ACC, Clemson, us, and SMU, the three of us don't play each other enough to like one of us has to lose at some point. So it's possible. It can
What
happen
about
that the
Pitt?
three of us, maybe it was Pitt. I believe it. Oh,
Because
there's three
Pitt's
teams.
undefeated in the
There's
ACC.
three teams that can end the season. And technically, we don't play each other. That could all be in those top 3 spots. So at that point, the championship game, because there's no divisions, the championship game would be decided by the opponents that they play, their win and loss record. So again, that just goes to my point. Why every time we play somebody and we're lucky enough to come out with a victory, we're not lucky in every single game, but it's important that those teams go out and win. Because again, should that anomaly happen, which crazier things have happened in the world of college football, if 3 ACC teams end up with the same conference record, again undefeated in conference play, then it goes literally. You're talking not necessarily a coin flip, but almost like a coin flip between the 3 who goes to the championship game. Maybe it was Pitt. I thought it was SMU,
Well,
but
wouldn't it
again,
if the conference records were perfect, wouldn't it go to so you can't tell me that doesn't sound right. I mean, I guess
I'm telling you that was something they were just talking about this morning while I was
but if we're
walking
undefeated,
around. It,
if we run
it's
the
possible
ACC
that
and we're undefeated,
the top three teams, there's a possibility that the top 3 teams could be undefeated in conference play, and the 3 of us haven't played each other, so there isn't that immediate, okay, we got that victory over
no,
that
but
person
hang on, that's not what
to
I'm
go
saying.
over it.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we're undefeated in ACC play. All 3 of us undefeated in ACC play, which means if we end up undefeated in ACC play, we'll be undefeated across the board. Clemson has a loss.
True,
SMU has a loss.
but
So to
again,
me, that would come down
that's
to.
not exactly that.
But if
Again,
you
I'm telling you, that wasn't the factor. It's not that they have a loss on the books. It's that the fact that the conference record 8-0, or yeah, it's 8-0.
wouldn't it, like that's
There's
like
possibility
NFL,
the 3 of us would go that. And then
would
again,
make sense.
Clemson would get in because generally you think Georgia's going to have continued success. So it's a long shot. I don't mean to stall on it too long, but that's why it's important for us to win every game. But then the opponents we beat really got to play pretty well after that. So, it's
Yeah, but
just go look it up after the show. I'm
I know,
telling you
no,
that
but no,
that
but I'm
happened.
telling you that
That's something that could happen.
that's literally that's stupid if that's the thing, because I understand there has to
Yeah.
be some bearing on your season as a whole, or why play anything other than conference games. So if you have the ability to have multiple teams be undefeated at the end of the season because of the way the schedules work, then the next tiebreaker should be your overall record. And if you have a loss, so if Miami were to get there, be undefeated through the regular season, and then didn't get in the ACC championship game because Pitt and Clemson both played, and somehow their records of the teams they played were better, and yet they have losses. And who knows? I don't know what the rest of their schedule looks like. Maybe one of them has a random team in there that they lose to again, but yet they could still, that wasn't conference play, but yet like the SEC plays, like they play Rice in the middle of the season, all stuff like that. But yet they would have the ability to still to get in over us, even potentially even having two losses, because the ACC schedule is like that doesn't make sense. If it was Pitt or SMU,
I'm just repeating what I heard this morning. So
that's fine. I just
don't
don't think
don't
that
kill the messenger. I'm just telling you that
I'm
that's
not sure
something
that
that could play out.
but if it did, and again, not trying to stall, I'm just saying that if that's something that played out, that would be stupid. So yeah, Miami needs to keep winning first and foremost. The rest of the stuff will take care of itself. The odds of these teams going undefeated, all four of them, because again, someone would have to play Pitt in there, because the odds of all four of those teams not playing each other, because Pitt still is
Again,
undefeated.
I believe it was SMU. It's SMU and us and Clemson. I believe was the
But Pitt is
scenario.
undefeated too, though. Pitt's undefeated
Yeah,
too.
I get it, but I think they play
Yeah.
Clemson or something. You're right. You know what
No,
I'm saying? Like, there's a possibility that the top three teams could end up 8-0 conference play and not having played the three of them.
I know, I get it.
That's a
I'm just
possibility scenario. I can't remember which one it was. I'm just again, we're talking about this way too long. We should focus on the
yeah,
Miami Louisville
I'm
setup.
just saying that would be the luck of us, right? We have this great team.
Again,
We
we
don't even,
have
yeah,
agreed, yes,
that would
but
be dumb.
Miami has control of their destiny. I totally have 100% faith that again, if we win every single game, we get in the ACC championship game, we take care of that game, it's all set. Get in the playoffs. This is a team that can make waves in the college football playoffs this year.
Well,
Because
before
having like you said earlier, the team sees that we can be down, we can have a great deal going against us, and still make it out of that alive. And again, with the guy right here, that's why I put him in the background this week, is because it's all predicated on this guy continuing this amazing show of offensive prowess and passing. Right? I mean, he can run. The run in the Cal game was huge, but his strength is the passing game. Again, he very well could continue this amazing trajectory and have great stats. Hopefully, win a Heisman, and I guess that take care of itself. Again, I think we should move into our predictions for this weekend's game. What do you
well,
think the score will be?
what I want to say real quick about that with this game coming up is I think Cam Ward's going to have to use his legs. He's going to get. I forgot the point when you got off on that tangent. That got me. I forgot the point I was even making with that. With the original point I was going to make with that. I think it was something along the lines of Miami being. What I would like to see actually before I get into the Cam Ward thing, what I want to see is I wouldn't mind seeing a game that our defense took over and won. Our offense struggled, but it felt like the offense wasn't necessarily the thing that had to bail us out, because we've watched that. We've watched that happen. We know the offense can bail us out. I want to see the defense have their defining moment, not in us beating them down and then the defense getting after them, beating them down offensively and the defense getting after them. That's great. It's easier to play from ahead. But the defense made their plays for us to come back against Cal. Absolutely. They played a role in that. If we don't stop them, we don't come back. But I want to see the defense have that, especially the secondary. And Louisville has one of the most explosive offenses in the country. They can score quick. But on that note, Cam Ward's going to need to use his legs a little bit this week. I think that's going to be a big part. He's used them in the last two these last two wins, comeback against Virginia Tech and then Cal. He's had big touchdown runs. He's had the extension of plays that we know he can do. But I think that, watching that game in Louisville, I watched a chunk of it. I didn't get to watch all of it, but Virginia's quarterback made some plays on the ground, right? So they're vulnerable to that. I think they'll give up some plays on the ground. I think we need to be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah,
Establish the run game.
I don't think Tyler Shook is a threat to be dangerous runner or even really
No, but I'm
do
saying
like a Kyron Jones, like get a
our
first down, even if
defense.
it's not like running for 150 yards.
No,
But
I'm saying their defense
he's
gave
very
up
capable of
plays on the
passing. Yes.
ground to the quarterback. I'm saying their defense is susceptible on the ground. for Cam Ward's legs. And something that was working against Cal in the beginning of the game, we had to get away from it, was the run game. We were getting little chunks. We were getting 5-6 yards on first down. We had to get away from the run game. So I want to see us establish the run game again, but I want to see our defense have a defining moment. And if that's getting after
And
the passer, great.
I do want to put in the point, because I said it after we filmed the last show, is that Miami showed a lot of different looks in the Cal game. Again, Cam Ward was under center a good chunk of the time. Underneath at the start of the game, I think they got away from it when they got way behind. But like you said, that was key. We were running the ball well, and I think that was part of it. I think we need to do more of that. I'm not saying every play needs to be under center, but the more they do that, the more they get, that running back behind the quarterback, the threat of the option. I'm not saying we're option team, but the threat of that ability will help us in the run game. I think that's probably the worst thing we've done in the games that we didn't do a lot of that. Our run game is literally it's there's a running back standing on the side of the quarterback. You hand him the ball, he goes right into a big pile. So I think, again, using more of that was huge. And again, you go back to the Virginia Tech game, that long pass to Arroyo was Cam underneath the center, doing a great ball fake, hitting him over the center for nobody within 30 yards of him. So doing more of that, I think, is key. Like you're saying, we could probably say this is they'll sit back and maybe force Cam to take, a little bit more towards the running game, shorten the game out a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that something that Cam's done well too. Obviously, he did it against USF; it didn't count. Even though when you watch that play, could have counted it. Was his knee on the guy's hand when he had that pitch last second? And then same thing obviously against Virginia Tech, his pitch just basically saved that game and find Riley. It was Riley Williams, right? So on that play, he was on his butt and he gets back up. So the play's never dead. So that's tough on the defense. As far as we did talk about we talked a lot about that off camera as far as those different looks, and that's important. I think that Miami mixing that up is huge. But again, to me, this is a game that the defense needs to show up. That offense is explosive. The defense needs to come ready to play. Having Jalen Rivers back, though, on offense is going to be big. We didn't say that yet. Jalen Rivers back at left tackle, that hopefully should be big, barring he's not super rusty. But it starts to get our offense back in full swing, and hopefully we can capitalize early and keep our foot on the gas early. I want to see our defense step up. I want to see our defense make this a game. So I'm going to say like a 30-13 Miami win. And the reason I'm going to say that is because we know the offense can score, and it's probably going to bite me in the butt. I'm sure this is going to bite me, and it's going to be a lot closer than I think, but I'm doing this to try to will this into existence. I know all my games have been big spreads. All my picks have been big spreads, but I know the offense that we have that what we're capable of. And Louisville's a very good team. They're at home. They're going to be motivated, but I'm hoping to will into existence a good defensive performance from Miami in a game that's kind of like, okay, here we go. We're back on track. Let's send a message. The one thing I worry about was Louisville maybe looking a little bit ahead against us, and that's where they played down, maybe a little bit down to Virginia. Are we potentially looking ahead to, despite their record, it's a big game next week. It's Florida State. It's hate week, rivalry week. Like, that's a big thing. And are we looking ahead at that? I hope not. Hope we're not focused on that. Just because that game is a game where really I want to empty the tanks. I mean, for all of us, it's a belt to ass game. It is like, let's unleash the fury of God on Florida State next week. So I'm hoping Miami is not looking ahead, but I want to will this into existence. 27 or 30 points, 13 to 17 points. I'll stay in that range for, I know it's a cop out. Sorry, yell at me, but I'm going to go in that range for a score for a Miami victory, obviously.
I'm going to go with 31-30. It'd be my score prediction. The 1 point victory. I think Louisville does get into the spread, the Vegas spread. I think that's my prediction.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to say before we close out, we actually have more content on CanesCast. If you've noticed, thank you all of those new subscribers, because we've had finally a great influx last couple weeks. I'm going to continue to put those shows of the games cut down into just the plays, all back to back to back. So keep looking out for those each and every week. At some point, I'll go back and do the games that I missed. But we've got a great deal sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. We have a great deal of momentum from the channel, so thank you guys for coming. We're going to put shorts out, so keep an eye out for those. And then, if you've noticed, some gaming contents out there as well. So Phil and I think at some point we'll work on trying to do that and kind of bring a lot of variety now, just each and every week. So again, thank you all those that are new. a double thank you to all those that have been around for this is our third year doing the show. So again, we are very, very, very happy of what's been going on lately in our show, and we continue to diversify our content and want to bring a whole lot more forward to you and see more of you here.
Well, we're going to keep it rolling. Like Garrett said, it's something that we've, with life and everything, that stuff gets in the way sometimes, but we're trying. We want to keep this content rolling and keep it coming out for you guys. The shorts are great. Garrett is really on this train if once it's out there, everybody will know, but I'm a very animated, electric, very outgoing person during games. We'll put it like that, and getting my reactions to things is
Yeah, you
something.
think if I have a dirty mouth, man, wait till he gets
Yeah,
Phil
I try to
in his
keep it.
natural state.
I keep this PG, but yeah, I go pretty crazy with all my, whether it's the Dolphins, the Hurricanes, the Heat, Marlins, Panthers. I'm all over the place with the Florida Panthers. I get crazy. So especially with our Canes, I mean, I go nuts. So it's exciting. This is an exciting season. I wanted to say too, guys, if anybody has any interest, I mean, if it's you're a Miami Hurricane fan, that's a shot. You're a Miami Dolphins fan like I am. And I'm a contributing writer for Last Word on Sports. I used to do some writing for Yard Barker and on all South Florida teams, but I just focus on the Dolphins right now. So anything like that, if you guys are interested in checking out my articles, obviously that would be, hugely appreciated. Take a lot of time. I put a lot of statistical depth in there for those articles, and they tie into the Canes. I have an article about how Miami's future quarterback might be in their backyard already, and that's the guy right behind Garrett. So
Yeah,
obviously, we'd
yeah.
love to see that.
Phil's doing everything he can to make that connection.
That
I,
he
I, I
stays
hope
in an
he's I hope
orange
he's
shade
right
of
because
some
I'd
kind.
love to see him stick around in Miami. I love the way he's helping Miami this year, and I hope he continues. But yeah,
Exactly.
that's something we would like to invite you guys to check out as well. Thank you all for coming through.
We're excited. Thank you guys. Thank you for Garrett said the momentum and keeping us rolling in a positive direction. We'll have more. And right before you know it, we got college basketball season coming up, and our Canes need to rebound from that season last year because expectations were high and
And we
within
got the Cavender twins back, man. So
exactly. So women's
you know,
basketball, men's basketball, let's
yep,
roll. Let's get back in the tourney. We did that a couple years ago, our Final Four run. Last year was just a complete, disappointment across the board with injuries and everything else. We almost never had our roster healthy together. But Larinaga is one of the best coaches in basketball. That's a completely different tangent. But to tell you, it's coming. We're gonna have some basketball content out here too. We're excited. As always, guys, all about the U. And we'll see you, hopefully, after a Canes victory over Louisville to kick off Florida State week, or beat Florida State week, excuse me. Go Canes.